Hey, Justin here. I'm about to show you my personal top 5 baits that I always have to have on the deck of the boat in the early springtime out here on Lake St. Clair. Everybody, in today's video I'm going to go over my top 5 must-have baits tied on when I go out here on Lake St. Clair in the early spring chasing smallmouth bass. If you're new to the channel, just to kind of let you know what I like to do here on the channel is I like to give you guys fishing reports, tips, product reviews, stuff that I think may help you catch fish out here on Lake St. Clair and out here in the great state of Michigan. So, what I'm going to showcase here for you is my personal top 5 baits that I always have on the deck when I'm starting out in the early springtime out here on Lake St. Clair. So let's dive right into that top 5. Now, if any of these differ from your top 5, let me know down in the comments. And if you're new to the channel, be sure you hit the subscribe button, you know, that red one down below, and ding that notification bell so you get notified every time I post a video. So, let's get into this. First up, one of the all-time #1 bass catching cold water baits out there, the blade bait. I carry it in an absolute ton of colors. As you can see here, a lot of painted colors, a lot of metallics. Part of that is from my time on Erie, jig and walleye. I got to like certain painted colors quite a bit. But just like lipless baits, sometimes a subtle color change will trigger some more bites for you. But day in, day out, a gold or a silver blade bait is going to do the bulk of your work out here on St. Clair. Another one of my favorites I throw out here, these are a little tangled up, is this gold perch Captain J's. That's a really good producer for me. I got a couple new ones from him that I'm excited to try. This is the Sexy Crawl. This guy here, it's actually just on lead and steel, so it's a really dull color, so it's not as flashy as your silver and your nickel ones. So really high hopes to try that one. I got a black nickel, and every once in a while, good old copper, which is hard to come by in a blade bait, can be really handy. That copper is a Captain J's. So #1 on my list is a blade bait. #2 on my list is just a jerkbait. This here is a Duo Realis 110 SP. It's a suspending. This is in the Smelt natural paint job or photo job that they have. Really nice bait, has a nice weight transfer system in it. This guy, the Rapala Shadow Wrap, the Rapala Husky Jerk, the X-Wrap, and the Lucky Craft pointers, those are some of the most productive ones out here on Lake St. Clair for guys during the springtime. But as we get later into the year, and we're getting a little deeper, the Mega Bass Vision +1, or the 110 +1, is really good out here, and a lot of guys throw it. Again, also the deep diving version of the Duo is really good once those fish move out deeper. But when they're up shallow, you really can't beat the Shadow Wrap, the Duo, the Husky Jerk, and the X-Wrap. All of them have different actions. Some are more aggressive, some are a little more subtle, where the Husky Jerk is really subdued and really basic and really nice bait. You can work really slow. The Shadow Wrap can 180 on itself, but it also has a nice wobble to it. The Duo is right there as well with action, and then there's the X-Wrap, just a slasher, something you can rip and just smack the heck out of and get really aggressive with it. All of them are really good. They all have a different time that they like to shine, so mix it up. Try a lot of different jerkbaits out here this year, but you gotta have a jerkbait tied on in the early springtime out here on St. Clair. Next up in my arsenal, and #3 on my personal list, is a lipless crankbait. Okay, so as you can see, a lot of these in here are the old XR50s out on St. Clair. You really can't beat an XR50 or a red eye shad. Both are phenomenal out here, but a bait that I'm going to point out that everybody should definitely try. And that's because you can yo-yo it and do a lot of different things with it, is this Duo Realis 68 G-Fix. It's actually a tungsten weighted, nice and loud. Just a really thin profile, a lot like a blade bait, you know, in its profile. So you can do a lot of, you know, reeling and pause, you know, kill it, let it sink down, pick it up, do a lot of that with it. This is a little more of a reactionary type bait though. Then you got your old classic Bill Lewis rattle traps and crawfish patterns work really good. Your red eye shads, if you're trying to get a little bit slower yo-yoing kind of action, that's a really good one. The XR50s are kind of medium in the sink rate, but all of these are just really dynamite. This is the yellow perch. These are some new ones. I broke the last one I had from last year, so I had to get some new ones. But lipless crankbaits, you really can't go wrong with the Booyah, which replaced the XR50s, the Red Eye Shads, the Bill Lewis Rattle Trap, and the Duo Realis 5. All of them have their time and a place. The colder the water, the slower you want that bait to fall. The more aggressive these fish get, sometimes that quick fall from the Duo Realis is your ticket out here on Lake St. Clair. So, number 3 on my list is a lipless crankbait, always tied on. Number 4 on my list, and honestly probably the most versatile bait I throw any time of the year, and I use this in a lot of different sizes, a lot of different shapes, but it was named the #1 fish catching lure of all time by Field and Stream. It's a Jig Head and a Grub. This here is a 5-inch CLEMENS lunker grub and a watermelon purple. I carry it in a bunch of colors just so I can kind of match the water conditions that I have out there. The only color I physically don't have right now is white, so I got to get that. You got the blue pearl salt and pepper. That's a great color. You got the pumpkin special with a little green and black flake. It's kind of a motor-oily pumpkin color. It's really nice. I like this over the standard motor oil personally. You got your green pumpkin. You gotta have green pumpkin when you're fishing smallies. And then for the flash and the wows, the Mardi Gras. And then throw in white and that watermelon purple. And you have basically the colors I like to throw. A 5-inch grub out here on the big water is honestly one of the most dynamite baits. You can reel it really quick. You can jig it off the bottom. You can pitch it to docks. You can pitch it to break walls. This is one of those baits that you can hand somebody that's fairly new to fishing, and they're going to get bit with this bait. There's times that there's other baits that will outshine this, but a lot of times you can go out and catch a ton of fish on a basic Jig Head and Grub. You know what? I'm going to make it a mission to kind of show you guys that this year, so stay on the lookout for that in upcoming videos. But number 4, and my most versatile and probably my all-time personal favorite lure to fish with for bass, period, a Jig Head and a Grub. Simple as that. Number 5 on my list of must-haves rigged up on the deck, ready to go in the springtime out here on Lake St. Clair is going to be a shallow running crankbait. Be that a Squarebill or this really cool Duo Realis. It's not a true Squarebill. It gets like this, and basically you can deflect it off rocks. I like to fish this around rocks a little more than, say, a Squarebill. It tends to run a little more nose down for me, so it tends to deflect a little bit better off the big rock. But all work really well. A Squarebill that I'm actually looking forward to trying for the first time this year is actually the 6th Sense. I forget the name of this one, but it's a 6th Sense Squarebill. Hearing some great things about this crankbait company from my friend and fellow YouTuber here in Michigan, Benjamin Nowak. So just hearing him talk about how much he loves 6th Sense, I picked some up. I'm going to try them out. Another one that did me really well last year is actually the Rashi 3. This is the Rashi Square 3 foot, and it comes in a 5 foot as well. But you can kind of see the size difference. So later in the year, when they start to slide off that really shallow water, I'll go to the 5 when they're in that in-betweener between when I start throwing the DTs. But this guy works really well as well, working rip rafts and break walls and rock piles that are in shallow water. So shallow running crankbait, it can be a lot of different things. In this box here generally runs, you know, 6 foot of water, but 6 foot or less is going to be your shallow running crankbaits. These work really, really well as well out here on Lake St. Clair. Now, like I did in the top 5 lures video I did during the wintertime for Lake St. Clair perch, I have another bonus bait for you. This has been a little bit of a sleeper. This is really mainly used by guys early in the early season. So right now, and probably for the next 3 to 4 weeks. Basically when blade baits are still active, hair jigs. Hair jigs can be absolutely deadly out here on Lake St. Clair. This is a one that I tie up. It's got a little bit of EP fiber, a zonker strip, some Flashaboo. Nothing fancy. It's tied on a 60-degree Gamakatsu jig head. I forget who poured it. It's just a plain round ball, 60-degree, nothing special, but hair jigs can be absolutely deadly, especially in those first few weeks of the early spring out here on Lake St. Clair. So that is the bonus lure. So if you've never tried hair jigs, give them a try, find some, be a marabou, bucktail, give them a go, and see if that helps you maybe land a few more smallies out here this spring on Lake St. Clair. What do you think of this top 5? Do you like it? Is this some of your top 5? Let me know down in the comments what your top 5 lures are for the early springtime out here on Lake St. Clair for smallmouth bass. And as always, guys, be sure to click that red subscribe button and ding that notification bell so you get notified every time I post a video. And if you like the sweatshirt I'm wearing, go ahead and click down below. I have a link to my Teespring account. Every dollar that is generated from that store goes right back into making you guys content, so any purchase is very, very much appreciated. As always, guys, tight lines, happy casting, and we'll see you in the next video.
And develop your gifts. I grant you, you'll never ever be without. I grant you that your gifts will take you places that will literally amaze you.